would y'all get the chip like the Neuralink? Because think about it, like, would y'all get the chip like the Neuralink? Because think about it, like, there's gonna be people out here that are doing that. They're gonna be smarter than us. You know, they're gonna be able to break things down faster than us in order to keep up. If you know the majority of the population is getting this Neuralink or whatever it's gonna be, and we know we grew up in the era where we was, what you mean chips, put chips in the babies and all that. We was against that. Would you do that?
Would you do it?
I don't know. I really don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know.
Too. That's my answer as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
when I first heard about it, I'm like, hell no. But then, with all the movies I watch and shit, everything that they're clearly putting in front of us, because they know we just gonna think it's a movie. Nah. Like, I really don't know.
Yo, they got the glasses now. They got the prompters in them. People, you know, you can be debating with somebody and they killing you with face.
Well, the Neuralink thing is so interesting because it's like, for people that don't know, that's Elon Musk's company, and they already have paraplegics that can move now, and people moving chess pieces with their brain. So my thing is, like, even for languages, right? Like, imagine if you can download every single language in your brain. So you go to France and now you speak fluent French. That's helpful. Or you go to you know, Mexico and now you speak fluent Spanish, right? Like,
Jess.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who were well taught this truth. And peace and blessings be to the hopeful elect. I'm the brother Yashar Gabar, back to you again with another lesson. Lord will in this lesson be edifying to the elect. All right. And as you just seen through the video, hey man, Jake is finished, man. You know, Jake, you know, is ready to sell out, give in to the system, you know, and receive that MOTB, all right, which is the C-HIP. You know, and once you do that, all right, you through, man. All right, you finish. All right. You know, as you see, what this is Breakfast Club, you know, they call Charlemagne the God, you know, and these people, you know, they speaking on, you know, the C-HIP and the Neuralink, you know, Elon Musk's brain chip and everything, you know, and they're not against it, you know, they're saying how, you know, they're debating or not, pretty much, you know, whether they'll take it or not. You know, one thing he said, you know, to keep up with this system, you know, and that's what Jake is going to be deceived by, all right? You know, wanting to keep up with the system, all right? You know, and it just shows, you know, that Jake will give in when that time comes, you know? And this is how Esau wanted, you know, this is how he wants it. All right, you want to keep up, you know, with this society, all right, you're going to have to give in, you know? You want to continue making that money that you make, all right, buy, sell, as the scripture says, man, all right? So let's grab a few scriptures. And let's start off with this. Okay, Revelation 13. Start at 14. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Yeah, those miracles. All right, going back to what Esau Edom, you know, his system, his technology and shit, man. You know, through his technology, all right, it may seem, hey, he's going to have miracles. You know, they spoke on what, paraplegic, able to walk again, able to what, see again. You know, this devil, he's already been doing test runs, all right, on humans. All right, and before that, what, animals. You know, so, hey, these are those miracles, all right, you know? And Jake spoke on what, they were saying how you'll be able to debate, you know, and speak in different languages. All right, and Jake's ready to give in. You know, but these are those miracles, man. You know? So it says what? In those miracles, which he had power to do so in the sight of the beast, saying them that dwell upon the earth, that they should make an image to the beast, which he had wounded by the sword, and did live. Verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast shall both speak, and cause that as many that would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. You know, this is what this devil want to do, man. All right? You know, if you're not agreeing, you know, with this system, all right, giving in, all right, he's what? He's ready to what? He's going to want to put you to death. All right? You know, cast you out from the society, throwing you all in type of concentration camps, you know, all type of shit, man. You know, if you're not aligning with this system, all right, this beast system, man, you know. So let's jump to this right quick and come back. This is 2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 13. It says, but evil men and seducers shall wax worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. All right, and this is what you see. All right, Jake being deceived, man. All right, and deceiving. You know, because with them, you know, speaking on this podcast about the C-Hip, you know, and these chips. All right, Jake be getting paid off, you know, to speak on these type of things. You know, and then neither one of them, you know, disagree. All right, they didn't say, you know, hell no. You know, I wouldn't take that. All right. Esau, you know, set up these type of channels and podcasts for them to deceive. All right, many of you Jakes. All right. You know, so they didn't disagree with, you know, receiving that C-Hip. All right. You know, so they set up what to deceive, man. And certain things go on those podcasts just for, you know, for them to speak on things like that, man. All right. You know, trying to speak great things about it. Hey, you may be able to speak a different language. You can go to France and, you know, who cares, man? You know? Or if you debate, you're able to come with straight facts. All that, you know, to give in. You know, so what? Deceiving and being deceived, all right? Because they deceived up there, man. You know, Jake gonna give in, all right, and be destroyed. So now let's go back to verse 15. It says, and he had power to give life into the image of the beast, which is his system, all right? That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Verse 16, he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, all right? Because it's going to come down, all right, to a point. It's not going to matter how rich you are, how poor you are, you know, and you're going to have to receive it, you know. Even these millionaire Jakes, you know, you're going to have to receive that, man. All right, if you want to keep up with this society, you want to keep the money you have, you know, that reset, all right, that Esau Edom wants to come with, you know, and that's bringing in what the MOTB, all right. So it says to receive a mark. You go into the word mark, it means what? It goes to charagma. It says a stamp, an imprinted mark, all right. The mark branded upon horses. Yeah, so as an animal, for example, a horse, cow, all right, they stamp it, showing you that, hey, this belongs to me. You know, you'll stamp a horse, showing what, hey, this belongs to me. All right, and this is pretty much what you're doing. All right, saying what, you belongs to this system. All right, you know, Esau, Edom, his system, man. So what, you're denouncing, you know, the Most High. You know? All right, and this is why you're going to be destroyed. All right, if you receive that C-hip. You know? With all these things going on, you know, what that C-hip being spoken on, you know, and for you Israelites, all right, to ignore the fact, you know, and disagree that the MOTB is the C-hip, all right, yeah, you either sold out, you know, or the Lord is not dealing with you, man. You know? All right, the Lord is not dealing with you to not being able to see that the C-hip is the MOTB. You know? Because what? If you know, give in, you know, and you say what? Well, I believe that this is not the C-hip. You know, I believe the MOTB is not the C-hip, and you receive that, all right, you're through, you know? And the Lord is going to destroy you, man. All right? But soon, all right, the world is going to recognize and see, you know? But back to the point, you know, it says what? To stamp and print or imprinted mark. All right, and that's the chip, man. All right. What else I have? Let's see. All right, let's get this. Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. For there shall arise false Mashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, and so much that if it was possible, they shall deceive the very elect. You know? So the scripture says, well, if it was possible, they'll deceive the elect. All right? You know, through these signs and and these wonders, you know? Because seeing that, you're going to be deceived, man. Being able to walk again, being able to see again, you know, and people are going to be deceived and give in, you know. So it says what? If it was possible, they'd be able to deceive the very elect. All right, that's how serious it's going to be, you know, seeing these things be done. All right, but the elect is not going to be deceived, man. You know. What else? 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 11. Lest Satan shall get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Yeah, you know. Because what? The rest of the world is ignorant. You know, they don't know, you know. They're ignorant to the fact of what's going on. You know, what's being set up. All right, but we are not ignorant of his devices, man. The elect. You know, the ones that have the truth. All right, it's not ignorant of what's to come. You know, the system being set up, the MOTB, all right, of his devices. You know, and we know what's going on, man. You know, and we know what this devil wants to come with. New World Order. You know, have everyone under one subjection, man. You know, one world order. All right. You know, one currency, one religion. All right. One nation, all that, man. You know, and be subjected under him. All right, but hey, man, we not ignorant. You know, hey, we see what's going on. All right, we see what 2/3 of you niggas, you know, being deceived. right, selling out. All right, but hey, if you're smart, right, you'll see. You know, scriptures speak on what a prudent man will look well in his going. You know, a wise man, you know, he's not just gonna give in, right, to anything. You know, he's gonna do his research. You know, and see what the truth is. All right. So yeah, man. Hey, man. Hey, we see it. All right. So end it off with that. Giving all praises, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Bahakodash. We give double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Until next time, say Shalom.